Ready, Brandon? Okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Sugar House Community Council meeting. Thanks for taking the time as usual. Welcome to the new folks that are on here tonight. We just put in the chat how you can sign up for our newsletter, or Brandon's working on that. So we try to inform as best we can. We continue to have restrictions based on the Zoom bombing that's still kind of going on. So with Sprague opening, hopefully we can start talking about having an in-person meeting at some point. Couple of minor changes to the agenda. 24-hour fitness is going to come in June. They won't be here tonight, but we've added just a couple of things. We have Sri from the Sprague Library to come show how awesome the new place is. And then our Michael G. Spotlight on Business won't be here tonight, but they'll be back next month. So let's go to Devin for the secretary report. Go ahead, Devin.
Never mind. There you go. Okay. Minutes for March and April are available. I think Landon has them loaded on the website now for both months. As a reminder, if you want to watch the meeting before minutes come out, Eric has been putting them on YouTube. I've also included the YouTube links in the secretary minutes. Other than that, let me know if there's anything that's missing from minutes that you need in there, but I've been trying to put kind of essential stuff, email addresses, dates, times, websites, all of that in there. But if there is something missing, please let me know and I'll get that modified.
Thank you, Devin. Let's approve the minutes for those months. They've been up for a couple days. So can I get an approval? Judy, they're on there. I see your face.
Hard to look at them. I expect them when they haven't been there for a while.
She had to get out of school. We can approve next month if that's better for you. Let's go. How about Mike with the treasury report?
Hello, I'm on. Hello, everybody, community members, trustees. Mike Bagley here with the treasury report. Just the latest updates. Our U.S. bank account balance is sitting at $15,332.93. Just logged into that to check that balance. A couple generous donations over the last month, earmarked for the mural project. And then we've spent $175.78. That was to go towards the replacement artwork for the Sprague Library that was damaged in the flood that we decided we wanted to help get back up on the wall. And I took my tour there and saw it hanging up there. So it's there now. And I think the library may be open to check out. We'll hear more about that later in the meeting, it sounds like. PayPal, our balance on the PayPal account is $267.45. And I went through all those donations. It looks like everyone's made a note in there that they want those monies to go specifically for the mural project. So, so thank you for making a note of that in there, so we make sure they go to the right place. And thanks for the generous donations. If you decide to donate to PayPal, just make a note if you'd like those funds to be designated for the mural project. Otherwise, we'll just assume that it's a donation to the Sugar House Community Council in general. And that's what I got, unless anyone has questions for me.
Thanks, Mike. If anybody does, you can just put them in the chat and Mike can answer them.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the Forestdale trustees of the Community Council received an email from some residents about the restriping of Highland Drive. So I'm just going to turn it over to Will Coker to address. Will, you ready?
There we go. So yeah, as Landon said, we learned about the restriping project in our last meeting. And some of the neighbors reached out to the trustees in the Forestdale neighborhood. They presented a letter to us from Robert Austin, as well as signatures from 20 community members that are opposing the restriping project in its current form. They've asked that we read a letter from their group to the community council. And then we will be submitting their letter and their signatures in our minutes for the record. We will also be submitting their letter and signatures to the appropriate parties with the city. So their letter reads, "Dear Sugar House Community Council, my neighbors and myself are quite surprised and upset with the proposed parking change and lane restriping. Many of us were caught unawares as this info was in the chip and seal notice that many of us did not notice. Most of us were not aware of any of this until the city posted signs about it last Friday. We are surprised by the lack of civic engagement on this, especially to those of us most impacted. We previously fought this striping battle years ago. Salt Lake City came to an agreement that appeased everyone back then, and that is why the street was striped the way it has been. For years, it was a 4-lane road with a higher speed limit. The current striping seems to have coexisted very well for many years, and we failed to see a need for change. The change will be a safety issue now for those families who have to cross the street numerous times daily to reach their vehicle. The parking was also a tool to slow down the speeders on our street, since that has always been an issue. Removing parked cars on one side will only give the green light to speeders. Bikers will have to navigate around trash cans on trash days and potentially into traffic. We are not opposed to biking, and many of us bike regularly on Highland. There has not been a problem of having shared biking and parking lane on either side. Generally, the only real problem for biking is at the choke point near the liquor store, and this restriping is not alleviating that issue, as it is instead intended to meet up with the plans in Mill Creek. We are getting the message that the needs of Mill Creek are driving a lot of decisions about what is happening in our neighborhood. It seems like our little Highland Island between Fairmont Golf Course and 1300 East is getting ignored, not just on this issue, but on the larger, more cataclysmic issue of potential light rail running down our street. In both instances, the people who actually live on this street were caught completely blindsided by decisions being made by others. We understand that the surveys were done and studies conducted, but little due diligence has been done to seek out the views and needs of this neighborhood. We hope you can help us feel more enfranchised and help us share these concerns with the city transportation planners. Sincerely, Robert Austin, who's representing those 20 neighbors in that area. So like I said, we will submit this into our minutes and we will submit this to the appropriate parties with the city. I will also be posting in the chat the number and email address to reach the city transportation folks that are overseeing this project. This project is very much still open for public comment. So if anybody on this call wants to let their thoughts be known about the project, that's a great way to reach out to them. Thank you.
Hey, Will, I just included those, and if people have questions, I guess we can do it in the chat, but I just included the hotline information in the chat. So please reach out. All right, let's go to Levi, Brandon. Levi's here just to get an update on some transportation stuff.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's good to see you tonight. I'm Levi Thatcher. I'm the head of the transportation committee, and just wanted to key you in on a couple initiatives going on in the city that we'd love your involvement in and get your help in shaping. So there's an organization called Sweet Streets that is increasing awareness for safety projects across the city. And there's one early initiative called 20 is Plenty. And what this is one of the top concerns we've heard in the neighborhoods is that vehicle speeds are too high and families don't feel safe with their children, don't feel safe themselves walking around. So this campaign around 20 is Plenty, it's modeled on what's happened in some other cities of working with the city to get the default neighborhood speed from 25 miles per hour down to 20 miles per hour. And it's primarily around safety. If you're hit by a vehicle at 20 miles per hour instead of 30, your chances of survival increase dramatically. And so I'll drop the website here in the chat. You can sign up for updates and request a yard sign, donate if you have an interest, and we'll be talking about this more as time goes on. And the second thing coming up is, this is a few years out, but I want to make sure you're aware of it so there's no surprises, but The city's looking to redo 21st South through the heart of Sugar House, particularly from 7th East to 13th East in 2025. That seems like eons away, but it'll come fast. And we've set up a website from just at our level right now in Sugar House. The city hasn't engaged yet. I'm gonna drop that here. And we've set up a simple survey. Would love if you could take it and just start to get a feel for what changes you'd want to see in that local 21st House neighborhood there. A lot of potential options on the table since it's a total rebuild, but please reach out. I'm Levi. I'll drop my email here as well if you have any thoughts. But yeah, thanks so much for the time.
Levi, and the transportation committee meetings are third Monday of the month.
Yeah, and I'll drop the invite here actually
Okay,
as well, so
great.
you can all join if you need to. We'd
So
love to
some of
have
these
you.
new neighbors are welcome to join that committee meeting to talk about this.
Yes, it's a great opportunity to have more discussion and hear what's going on locally and you know, discuss local goings on. Thanks so much, Landon.
Thank you. All right, Soren.
Thanks, Landon. Oh, I should update my name here. I don't know if I can do that. I'm listed as Jordan River Commission. Anyway, Soren Simonson here, and I am just wanted to let everybody know about an event we have coming up this weekend. Yesterday was the birthday and anniversary of a really remarkable woman named Jane Jacobs. Many who have studied urban planning have probably come across her work. And there's an organization called Jane's Walk or Jane's Jacobs Walks that's set up community building events all across the world and in the United States. And we have organized a couple of Jane's Walks, which are ways to explore and help build community. And the Jane's Walk that we have coming up this weekend on Saturday at 2 and again on Monday at noon will both be to walk a section of the S line from about 300 East in South Salt Lake up to about 900 East in Salt Lake City. We'll spend about an hour on the S line and Parties Trail corridor, and primarily just looking at in the 7 years since the streetcar was developed, what kind of development has taken place, how has it contributed to the vision of this active alternative transportation corridor, and what lessons can we learn from development that's happened so far that maybe doesn't quite hit the nail on the head, and how do we help inform both South Salt Lake and Salt Lake City to help improve future development as it continues to happen along this corridor. I'll drop some information in the chat for you all to take a look at. We'd love to have you come and join and share your ideas around the S line. Thanks, Landon.
Yeah, thanks, Soren. Okay, let's go to Detective Meinzer. Detective, are you ready?
Sure, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm ready. I wanted to kind of talk about some of the issues that I've been kind of working on lately for District 7. And lately what I've been hearing a lot is traffic concerns. So one of the ones that has been multiple different people have been reporting to me is 2700 South from 13th East to 17th East. I'm getting a lot of feedback that there's a lot of speeding going on in that specific stretch. So with that, I'm going to have my motors come out and try and do some enforcement and some deterrent. If you guys are noticing that is an issue, just let me know so I can kind of get an idea. Right now, I've only got a few people that have mentioned it, so I'm not fully sure of how bad it is or if it's something that can kind of get fixed quickly or not. So we'll kind of work on that. Another thing is the 9th East road construction project. So I had a great conversation this week with one of the project managers, and we kind of discussed concerns for basically citizens that live around that project, because eventually the road will be temporarily closed. And what we're anticipating is there's going to be traffic that goes into neighborhoods. And that's obviously something that will bring a lot of concern to folks, because we don't want people speeding through your neighborhood. That's kind of why I like that whole 20-mile-an-hour thing. That would be awesome. Just saying. But so we kind of discussed all the different options out there and kind of what would be the first step. So the first step that I'm going to be taking is our motor guys are going to try and find time to be around regularly around that project to see if we can help kind of make it more common that you'll see us there to hopefully deter people from speeding through neighborhoods if they do choose to go around the construction. The second part of things is we want to try and look into seeing if the city can help us with getting the trailers that have the blinking sign of how fast they're going, trying to bring that accountability to folks as they drive. So it's more aware, because a lot of people when they drive, they just kind of get in this trance, you're on your way to work and sometimes you forget how you even got to work because you just are so in the zone. And then another thing I did want to bring up is Salt Lake City Police Department is looking at a traffic calming method with large construction plates, metal plates. So the plates are 8 foot by 12 foot. So they are pretty big. We have requested in the budget this upcoming year, it's $63,000. It will cover for 14 plates. We had recently used those plates. We rented some and we used them down on the street racing, and we had great responses basically. So anywhere that we had the plates, they no longer could do the speeding, the racing, because it would damage their vehicles. We ended up not being able to continue to afford to rent them. Surprise, surprise, there was a death of race cars. So that is going to be something where when we start getting lots of complaints in a specific area, if we do get these approved and we do get the funding, we want to be able to use them and move them through the whole city. If we have issues, like for instance, I'm dealing with an area called Butterfly Hill right now, where kids are trying to go fast enough to where you get that kind of butterfly in your stomach because you're almost jumping your car. And it's right next to homes. It's on a 25-mile-an-hour stretch. So when we do enforcement there, we're getting people for reckless driving, but the hard part is we can't be there 24/7. So we're trying to kind of get alternate ways that we can kind of help and kind of do some traffic calming when we're asked. And that's kind of what I have for the traffic side of things. As far as our crime in the area, we're looking fairly good. Right now, we have a little bit more theft going on for like car prowls and things like that. The big thing that I notice is a lot of those reports, the majority of them are vehicles left unlocked. It happens. We've all done it. We all try and be in a habit to make sure we lock our cars. Just try to make sure that you double check. Actually, I was at the VA at my appointment, the last appointment I had, and my trunk popped open and I had no idea. Walked away from my car and someone was like, "Hey, your trunk's open." And I was like, yeah, how can I tell people to, build that habit and check again when I didn't even do it myself? So it happens to all of us. And I'll kind of open it up to questions and see what your concerns are. And if you have things that you're worried about or want to see me work on, just let me know. I see a question in the chat. So speeding on 27th and Stratford are both bad for that stretch. I've noticed, especially around 3 to 5 p.m. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that, Brenda.
Hey, Detective, do you mind answering questions in the chat for a little while before you take off? Okay.
That'll be
Thank you.
$20.
Just
kidding. Don't worry. I'll answer questions in the chat. That's totally fine.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And we'll meet next week. Thanks.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's go to Sheree. Let's hear about Sprague. If anybody hasn't visited it, it is an amazing place.
Yes, I just want to thank everybody that has stopped by and done a tour or just came in. We have been open to the public for 3 days now. And even though our situation is a little bit funny where we're only allowed 20 people in the building at a time, we have had an extremely busy and fun 3 days. Today, at one point, we even had to have some people wait outside while some others left to come in. We are doing public tours, and that's limited of 5 people at a time, and it's done every hour. We're going to open up some more public tours. So if you haven't had a chance to sign up, you can do that on our website. You're also welcome to just come in, and we have cards that you can do a self-guided tour that give you information on the building and the reconstruction. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Sugar House Community Council, especially Judy Short and Lori Bray, who helped deliver that beautiful print of artwork on Monument Plaza. So like was said before, it was damaged in the flood, and we're just so happy to kind of be back in the building. So please come and visit, get your holds, and thank you so much for the support, y'all.
Thank you. I think, Brandon, are you gonna show some photos?
Sure, 1 second.
Okay. Tree, maybe you can talk through them.
Can you see that?
Yeah, can you unmute Cherie so she can,
Oh, right.
hey, do the other step.
Sorry about that. I think I ended up muting myself. Yeah, so this is a couple shots that we had in our fiction section. And this just gives you an idea of the seating. We have a lot of different kinds of seating. I like to say that there's something for everybody. And these chairs kind of speak to the like Art Deco feel, the 1928 feel of the building. And so that is that first picture in our fiction section. And this just gives you an idea of what the shelving looks like. We went with the traditional dark wood on the upper level. Again, we wanted to keep that Tudor style fill for the upper level. And so this shot is part of our fiction collection, which is really full. And y'all should just come and check out a bunch of books so that we can get those shelves looking lean again. And this is a little glimpse of the lower level. So the upper level, like I said, was very Tudor style, very traditional. And the lower level, we got really creative with pops of color, and we have carpeting down there, whereas we have hardwood, actually it's tile, but it looks like hardwood flooring on the upper level. So this is actually when you first come into the large meeting room, y'all might remember, we have a lot more seating options, and then we have moved the magazines down to that area as well. And then this is one of my favorite areas. Our teen space actually grew a lot. So this might be a little bit confusing. A lot of people are misoriented in the building, and it does take a little while to get acquainted. This is where the bathrooms leading into the meeting room were. Those restrooms were locked a lot of the time during business hours, and it was a way for us to look at that space and say, how can we do better by our community? And we wanted to give the teens a bigger, brighter, fun space. And so we blew out the bathrooms that were there and created an area just for them. And then you'll notice on the wall, there's the Sugar House logo, as well as the Sputnik. We have a lot of little hidden Easter eggs throughout the building that y'all can try and find. There's a lot of vintage signs that we have around, and a lot of sugar beets as well. So it's kind of fun to see what we did. And this is a view of the children's area, which in the original building when it was built, this is where the children's area was. This is the old nonfiction redone and refurbished. And what I like about this photo is that it shows that there is, again, seating for everybody. A lot of times a children's room will have seating mostly just for kids, but we have seatings for adults, teens, and kids. And it does look a little bit different now because we do have our picture books in a faced out display. So there's more material now since this last shot was taken.
That's the last one I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon and Landon. I appreciate y'all.
You can combine our names. It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to have Gene Davis come on. So Gene Davis is Utah State Senate District 3. He represents a lot of us. He was also instrumental in getting the funding for the S-Line extension. So welcome, Gene.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment, if I can, about
Sure.
the Sprague Library. Wow, what a great job they have done in that renovation. You know, we preserved that building. I was actually on the community council when we got the money to retrofit it just to bring it up to earthquake safety. And now with the reopening, this is just impressive. Thank you for the hard work that the Salt Lake City Library has done in really redoing that. Such a great event in Sugar House, such a great building. Thank you. And thank you, Landon, for the opportunity. The 15 million we got, and I'm hoping that the community council will actually put their brand on where we want that extension to go. I know I've heard from individuals on that Highland Drive section from I-80 to 2700 South that don't want to see it go down there. And so we need to really address that issue. I hope the community council puts on their thinking hats and really comes up with a plan for that monies that we set aside for the S-line expansion. I've always thought that the S-line ending where it does right now, with a Grand Boulevard coming out of McClellan Street into Fairmont Park, would just be a fantastic way to cap that off. But that's the planning money is there. Let's make sure that the Sugar House Community Council and our community has an opportunity for a strong voice in that. By the way, I also represent Mill Creek City from 13th East to Van Winkle. So I've got that in my district as well as Murray. But there's another thing that we accomplished during the session. We did get the money to finish the Parley's Rail all the way to the Jordan River. So this summer we should get the end of that trail done across 9th West and across the river and connect it all together. So we'll be able to go from the Skyline Trail all the way to the Jordan River on the Parley's Rail trail. And what a great accomplishment that is. It's just been a couple of years in the making, but we've got her done. And we got underneath 13th East with the draw. I think we've just got some exciting things in the community that will be going on. I'd like to open it up for any questions or concerns people have and be able to address those.
Gene, if people ask questions in the chat, do you mind answering them for them? We've had some Zoom bombing, so we're taking all questions in the chat.
Okay.
So thank you. Have someone type for you at your house. And Gene Davis is also the founding member one of the founding members of the Sugar House Community Council, so we owe him a lot.
Well, not quite. I think a few years after it was organized. It was actually organized in '79, and the late Rollins Young was one of the founding members. And I'm not, and I think one of the great, we have so many great people who have really had such great input into the building of our community and the revitalization of Sugar House. And now we're taking a look at 9th East being redone right now. That's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the community, as well as the Highland Drive stuff that's going on right now. So we've got some exciting things going on in the community, and we're growing, and we're growing vertically. If I might, I see that the S line should run to Westminster. The one thing is 13th East becomes very, very limited also to put a track on that, or 17th South. So there are some ways that we need to figure out. And I'm really looking forward, because I know I was in the original master plan in the 1980s with the Sugar House Community Council when I served on the council. And I can tell you, there's exciting things going on in our community. And it's really because the community council is involved. And I'm just hoping that the community council gets involved in all of this and finds solutions that really get to where the community really needs to be and wants to be.
Thanks,
Well,
Gene. Thank you.
We suggested in the original master plan to the business community that we put housing on top of their buildings. And you should have heard that outcry from the business community. No way were they going to do that. So anyway.
Thanks, Gene. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Landon. Thank you, members of the council, for listening.
Thank you. Let's go to Natalie Moore. So she's just going to give a canal project update. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good, how are
Yes,
you?
good, really good. Our canal project is still moving. You guys probably know, and I have a couple slides if you don't mind. And I'll just take a quick minute, not much of your time.
Brandon, can she share?
You should be good to share.
Oh, okay. All righty. Okay, so this is just a reminder for any of you that haven't been driving on Highland Drive. This is the Jordan and Salt Lake Canal replacement, and we're replacing the canal pipe between Wilmington Avenue and I-80. And as an update, the canal has all been installed, water's flowing, so that's the big piece that we accomplished, so we're really happy about that. So everything here on out will be basically just cleaning up the project, cleaning up the above ground stuff. So curb gutter, sidewalk, drive approaches, pavement, landscaping, all that stuff. We'll do that in the month of May. So things should be starting to clear up on Highland Drive. Things will look a lot cleaner as the weeks go on. And we won't have any closures. Everything will be open, and we will be doing some paving at the end of the month in May. So that may be a little bit of access restrictions to businesses, but it shouldn't be more than an hour. And we'll give businesses adequate heads up beforehand before that happens. So, and then after that, we'll do all the landscape restoration and replace the sod and the plants and everything in front of the businesses. The one thing we won't be replacing immediately are the trees. Those will come during the road reconstruction project, like we've planned. But this project is wrapping up in June, so we're almost there. Thanks again for all of your patience and for pushing through some of the delays that Highland Drive may have caused, but thanks again. And then as always, you can call our phone number, email address anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Brandon, is Allison Adams on?
I do not see her.
Okay. Oh, she's right. Oh, Diane Olson's here tonight for her.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for Allison. No, thank you. I'm glad that I had the visual cue. It felt like I was in grade school again, raising my hand. So I am here tonight to present on two projects: the 900 East reconstruction project that's been mentioned a little bit, as well as the East-West water line. So if I can share my screen, I'll wait just a second. I'll start with 900 East. From that project, we have Ramin from Salt Lake City Engineering here. There he's waving. And Mike Summers from Geneva Rock, who's our contractor. And I think Logan might be on as well. So we've got our whole team here to, oh great, now I can share, to provide this quick update. So we've started as on Monday, so you'll see orange cups or orange cones up through the project area. As a reminder, the project area is from Hollywood Avenue all the way to 2700 South. This project is meant to improve the pavement. We're repairing curb and gutter. We're repairing sidewalk, and there will also be a number of improvements to safety and transportations. That includes bike lanes, as well as, it includes bike lanes and crosswalk improvements throughout the corridor. The schedule is that we've started on Monday.
There will be various phases of traffic control as the contractor works. Right now they're in the median, and then we'll shift from side to side on the street. But this is anticipated to go through fall. I've shown the east-west water line up here as well because they are overlapping. There's a lot going on 900 East. But generally on what to expect with construction, I mentioned the phased work. So before the roadway work begins, there has to be a few utility items addressed. So there's some lining of the sewer, there's storm drain work, and then we'll start on the concrete work with the curb and gutter and the roadway. So you can expect construction during daylight hours. We will keep one lane of traffic open throughout the project. So northbound and southbound traffic will be opened. But with construction, you could anticipate some congestion in that area. With construction, again, there will be all the things that go with that, potential increase for noise, dust, vibration. We have had to, in order to accommodate the work zone and the safety of the public and the safety of our crews, there's no on-street parking in this area. So we've worked with everyone so far to make sure that there aren't cars in this area, because as cars get pushed out to those lanes that have been used for parking, that will be throughout the entire project. So we have been reaching out and working with the area businesses. We are maintaining access to the businesses throughout the project area. And we had a workshop with a few business owners last week to make sure that we are in coordination and can address those concerns, keep everyone moving into the area and all their favorite places. If you live in the project area, you can anticipate receiving a flyer from us if there is any interruption to utilities or any interruption to your driveway access. And separate from our project, but also occurring in the area, is Dominion Energy is going to be installing a new gas water line, mainly on the west side of 9th East. I believe they're starting at 2700 South, and they'll work their way north. But we just had a meeting today with all of our contractors so we can be in coordination and communication to minimize the impact on the public as best we can. So that's a quick overview on what to expect with construction. I mentioned the coordination with business. I encourage anyone, I'll put the information in the chat for our contact information. And I'm seeing a few questions come in through the chat. There was a short-term closure of left turn lanes on 2100 South today from 900 East. Those will be short-term and temporary to allow crews to access the manholes there. And then again, as we need to do the sewer lining work. And maybe I'll do a better job of answering some of these questions in the chat as I read through them. But so there will be another closure on another temporary left-hand turn closure tomorrow morning for a few hours, but it shouldn't last more than 3 or 4 hours.
Hey, Diane, do you mind answering these questions in the chat?
Yeah, let me go through them really quick, see where we left off. So
I'm assuming you're a fast typer. Do you mind responding in the chat for us?
Yeah, I will respond in the chat. And I'll just say I am not sure about Google Fiber. That goes through a whole separate process. They make requests through the city separately. So I will put all this project information into the chat. And while I do that, let me kind of switch gears to the East-West project. I will say with both projects, we've got updates going to the Sugar House Community Council. I saw an update in the monthly newsletter, that's great. If you want that in your inbox, you can email us and we can add you to the contact list so you can receive updates that way. So now switching hats for the East-West Water Line. This is the Salt Lake City Public Utilities Project. And Brad Stewart from the department is here tonight as well to represent Salt Lake City. So this project has been ongoing in various segments throughout Salt Lake City. It starts at its completion. We'll start at Terminal Reservoir and travel about 6 miles through Mill Creek and Salt Lake City to where it joins at 300 East with another major conveyance line. This is not a regular water line. This is a 48-inch diameter water conveyance line that's intended to move large amounts of water from point A to point B. So it is mostly in the public right-of-way in the streets throughout. And we have started phase 2 of construction this year. We started with some initial construction at the Forest Dell Golf Course and at the Wood Hollow condominiums just off of Elizabeth Ave, where we had to get under a canal and install a vault at Forest Dell. So starting on May 17th, we will begin work on 900 East because we've got to be in ahead of the roadway project. This will include trenching from coming out from Forest Dell Golf Course along 900 East, under I-80, and then over onto Ashton Avenue. This project, in order to accommodate the trench for the water line, it will restrict traffic to just one direction of traffic. So that means there will be a temporary light installed right around that I-80 underpass where it will move traffic one lane at a time, one direction at a time. So we are working on our traffic control. This will be signed, giving people the options to get off of 900 East and find alternative routes when this occurs. It will occur between May 17th and last until July 1st, and that will accommodate the utility work as well as the large diameter water line. So let's see, did I miss anything? So once we do the utility work in mid-June, there will be a full closure of 900 East for up to 2 weeks. There is no way to safely or realistically accommodate trenching and the movement of this water line under the I-80 without using the whole area. It's already going to be tricky as it is. So we are currently working on communicating with everyone on what that is. The contractors are coordinating and will sign the alternate routes and the detours early so that people can get across. Pedestrian access, I will have to verify that. Safety is our top concern, and because there will be large equipment in the area, I don't know for sure on the pedestrian access. So I will follow up with that and put it in our next newsletter. And if you want to email me that concern as well, I will follow up with you directly. Generally, the same construction impacts as I mentioned with 900 East. And we are working with businesses and residents in the area to make sure that everyone's aware that we can make some accommodations if access will be impeded. So here's the project information. I'll put it in the chat. I see lots of questions in the chat. So
good luck.
I will get to work on responding to all of that, but I also appreciate anyone reach out to us on the project information that I will share, because with both projects, we are more than happy to come and meet you or get on the phone or whatever we need to do to understand your concern or walk the site with you and make sure that we've addressed that. So
Thank
I will appreciate everyone's time, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. How old is the water line?
The water line is a new line. It's intended to build redundancy in the system. This is where Brad Stewart might know better than I, but there's a current line on 3300 South, Brad?
Yes.
Okay.
There is 42 million gallons of finished water stored at the top of 33rd South behind the Smiths by REI. This line will convey that water through a large transmission line, the 48-inch, to the downtown area, but it'll feed Mill Creek and Sugar House on its way down. Some of the distribution water mains will be connected to it to help with the grid. And then as that other line ages out and needs work on it, we won't be left starved for water. Ultimately, the pipe in a future phase, it will probably take the water clear through the industrial west side of Salt Lake City.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for that info. All right. You guys can answer those questions in the chat. That'd be great. Thank you. Brandon, let's unmute 598-4070. So this is Dale Lambert. He's president of the Sugar House Rotary Club.
I've asked to unmute, but nothing's happening so far.
Okay, well, if he can't figure it out, we'll oh, here he is. Hey, Dale.
Hello. I am sorry. I tried for 20 minutes to get in on my PC, and I know I entered everything correctly, but I was unsuccessful.
It's our fault.
And then it locked me out. So can people hear me?
Yeah. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, because I don't have visual. I thank Landon for the invitation for me to introduce you to the Rotary Club of Sugar House. And by the way, happy Cinco de Mayo Day. We have been centered in Sugar House for 85 years. We have 40 members and we meet weekly on Thursdays at noon. For the last year by Zoom, but we plan to have in-person meetings at the Forestdale Clubhouse very soon, and people are welcome to join us if they're of interest. We usually have lunch and speak. Service above self is an important motto for Rotary International, which has 1.2 million members and 35,000 clubs around the globe. Our goal is to advance positive change by providing service, promoting integrity, and advancing goodwill and friendship. Our club is involved in a lot of international as well as local service projects. Let me mention some that impact Sugar House directly. The Highland High Student and Family Support Program, Mindy Smith's program. We recently completed a large food and supply drive, and we make periodically cash donations in support of that very worthy program. At Highland High, we also sponsor the Highland High Interact Club, which is a service club that does some great things with some Highland High students. At Westminster, we sponsor the Westminster Rotaract Club, which is a collegiate level service club. And again, they do a lot of remarkable things. We also provide a scholarship. And this last year, we assisted some students, some foreign students there who were trapped because they could not return home to their countries because of the pandemic. Many of you are aware that if you have third grader students, we distribute hardbound dictionaries to every third grader in this area, plus some other areas in some other counties. We try to get a dictionary in the hands of every third grader. And finally, around Christmas time, you can see us ringing bells for the donation buck at Smith's on 9th and 21st. There in Sugar House. These are all projects that we enjoy doing. Let me say, we are a group that likes to cooperate, to partner with other groups to advance community interests, service projects that are of assistance. So we're always willing to listen to ideas that your community council might come forward with, or other individuals that would help serve the community, because that is what we are about. Let me just conclude. I thank you for your service on the Sugar House Community Council. We have a four-way test in Rotary that we repeat in all of our meetings. And I think it's a good guideline for all political and community in all organizations. It is it the truth? Is it fair for all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all those concerned? I think that would be good guidelines for all of us to practice. You'd be welcome at any time to participate with us. Are there any questions?
Hey, Dale, everybody's muted because we've had some Zoom bombing going on. So they can do it in the chat if you can see by your phone. If not, we'll put your email address and maybe they can reach out to you that way. But
well, let me just say, if you have any questions, you can look up our website, or you could email me at dalejlambert@gmail.com. Be happy to hear from you. And thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Dale. All right, let's go to Kristen Riker. She's the Director of Parks. And then we'll also unmute Tony, who's the Urban Forestry Director.
Hi, Landon.
Hi, Kristen. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for coming.
Great. I am just trying to find my mouse here. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, Brandon will allow that.
Okay.
Should be good.
Okay.
Tony, are you with us too?
I sure am.
Okay,
How's
great.
everyone?
Yeah, Tony, why don't you start? I'm having technical issues.
Oh, I can do that. I mean, you put me on the spot, but I can definitely do that. So, whatever the boss says. Let me get my video going here for everyone so you can see who we're talking to. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be able to take a few minutes here with the group to talk trees and urban forestry. I don't think it was too long ago that I was with this group to give a little bit of an update. And now, you know, some things have progressed to a state where I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about a few more things with you. So just as a quick rundown for Sugar House, some information that the attendees of this meeting might be interested in. Sugar House has the most trees in the city's urban forest by community council at 14,464 trees. Your top 5 species kind of mimic the city's top 5, which is Norway maple, little leaf linden, green ash, honey locust, and flowering pear. From an arborist standpoint, I'd like to see a few more desirable species take the place of probably 3 of the trees on that list. And I think we have an opportunity to do that in Sugar House because you have close to 5,000 vacant planting sites that exist in your neighborhood park strips. So Sugar House has a lot of trees, but you also have a heck of a lot of potential to grow a healthier, large urban forest than you have. On that note, Sugar House has received close to 1,956 new trees in the last 3 years, and that doesn't count the 195 trees we just planted in Sugar House this spring. So in 4 years, you have received more than 1,000 new trees, and we always get great interest for replacing trees that have been removed or for planting in new spots in Sugar House. So pat yourselves on the back with that. One thing, and really the main thing I want to focus on here with the last couple of minutes is just to inform everybody that responsible and effective tree watering is the #1 limiting factor for tree survivability in our city, and it's certainly the case in Sugar House. If you water them, they're going to live and they're going to thrive, and if you don't, they're going to die. And this is something that urban forestry, with the ramped up tree planting that we've been doing the last couple of years, we are very focused on trying to reach out to the communities and to individual property owners to tell that story about watering, to find out what limitations residents have with watering trees or challenges that are out there, so that we can better serve the community and provide the resources that we can to help make sure that the trees that we are planting are getting water. And I know that myself and your liaison, Tim Cosgrove, have talked to this group about the idea of setting up an urban forestry subcommittee for your community council. A number of community councils have done that already, and the Urban Forestry Division is extremely supportive of having a subcommittee for urban forestry in the Sugar House Community Council. I mentioned watering before being a major challenge for us. We believe that a subcommittee can have a profoundly positive impact on identifying locations, not only where we can have new trees, but where we're having a hard time maintaining the trees that are being planted, as that pertains to water. And then working with the city, the Urban Forestry Division, I think we can, as a team, try to solve some of those problems and figure out what resources in the community exist to help water the trees that we're planting. So that's not all we envision the subcommittees doing. We envision the subcommittees having a direct line to our Urban Forestry Division for things such as educational opportunities, training, potentially even citizen forester type programs, where our team will come out and provide any number of different types of training or informative sessions to help that group or help the community learn more about their urban forest and their part in sustaining it. And aside from that, we would also look to the subcommittees to alert us of issues where tree maintenance is required. Things like there's a block of such and such road where all of the trees are low and school buses or garbage trucks are hitting them, or people can't walk down the sidewalk. Any input that we can get from the residents and from a subcommittee could really be beneficial in the way we allocate resources to maintain the forest. So I won't take too much more time than that, unless there are any questions specific to what I talked about. But we're always available. You can reach us through the city's website, via phone, email, any which way, and we're here to serve you and help you help our urban forest. So.
Thank you, Tony.
And I am ready now, Landon. Sorry, my mouse froze and I couldn't move anything. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well,
That's a great picture.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
It's really great to present tonight. I love the Sugar House Community Council. There's always so many folks here, and it's actually my home community also. So maybe some of you have seen this or seen our signs for Reimagine Nature. This is our master planning process that we've been working on now for a while. So we're in our phase 2, and we have a survey that's open now. So we wanted to show you a little bit about what that is going to look like, and there will be more information on the survey. I just want to start by sharing with you that these are our 4 divisions in public lands. We have trails and natural lands, city parks, urban forestry, and city golf. This map shows the extent of our public land system: over 70 miles of trails, 80 city parks, 108 holes of golf, thousands of acres of natural lands, 86,500 urban forest trees. And this is a citywide plan. And it's really a rare opportunity for all of us to weigh in and establish some big ideas, long-range goals, and talk about some transformative projects for our city. The master plan is informed by the 2019 needs assessment. One of the things that came out of that needs assessment that I thought was an interesting fact is that 97% of the people that we polled think that it's important for residents to live within a 10-minute walk of a local park. When we did that poll, the survey, we made over 7,000 connections with community members through a variety of venues and collected over 4,400 responses to our digital surveys, which is huge for us. We used a variety of pop-up events, virtual events. We had our public land staff weighed in also. We had stakeholder groups, focus groups. Some of our events include an ice cream food truck, trailside snacks. We also collaborated with the University of Utah Department of Community and Metropolitan Planning. And that's how we got so many folks on the west side. We did intercept surveys, meeting people where they're at. We also did some micro engagement focus groups where we found that we were underrepresented in certain communities. We received survey responses throughout the engagement period and made adaptations to our schedule to boost the response rates. So we were really happy with our numbers. This diagram shows the outline of the master plan framework. Livability, equity, and stewardship are the 3 value lenses that have created the goals. Feedback from the first survey and stakeholder conversations led to these 5 planned goals: creating connected and accessible green spaces, creating welcoming, active, and inclusive places, protecting public lands through a commitment to stewardship, growing and expanding our park system, and sustaining our public lands by focusing on environmental health. So now we're at the stage in the plan where we are developing the initial ideas and pulling everything together. We have put together with our consultant design workshop 10 transformative projects. And the projects range from local scale neighborhood parks to large regional initiatives and regional efforts. They include connecting our mountains to the city and the lake, and quite a few others. So I'm going to go through these real quickly. And I'm going to go through them somewhat quickly because you can find more information on this on the survey if you haven't taken it yet. The first initiative, and these are in no order specifically, just how they ended up in our files, is a wayfinding and signage campaign that makes it easier to explore our nearby parks and public spaces. The second one is connecting the mountains to the lake, which is completing our missing links in regional trails and invest in greenways and enhance nature and creeks within the city. So this looks at the foothills trails, the Jordan River, implementing proposed trails that have already started, like the McClellan, Folsom, Surplus trails. And then also the 7 Greenways vision, which is along the city's creeks, including uncovering the creeks, adding trails, improving natural habitat. Reimagine Neighborhood Parks is looking at transforming parks into vibrant community spaces, really taking the community culture and character into consideration when we refurbish some of our parks. It'll look at equitable park redevelopment, engaging neighbors and helping us redesign, and also promotes volunteerism and donation and adopt a park. Coming soon to a park near you is helps our parks, big or small, come alive with activities throughout the year. So we're looking at partnerships for arts, music, fitness, providing programming for nature-based education, and re-energizing neighborhood parks by adding concession operations that could generate revenue to reinvest in our park improvements. This one is about the Jordan River Trail and investing in projects and maintenance that will activate it. This looks at welcoming park spaces along the Jordan River, restoring and enhancing natural areas, improving the Glendale Water Park, Jordan Park, and the International Peace Gardens. And it establishes a self-serve kayak rental program along the Jordan River. This is Tell Our Stories is about our history and using interpretive information in our parks to share the stories that have happened in our cities. It looks at our restoring of Allen Park, Fisher Mansion, Warm Springs Park, and it engages our communities in identifying more meaningful names for the local parks. Downtown Comes Alive is about downtown Salt Lake City and making downtown more active and green spaces. It'll take a look at Salt Lake City's Pioneer Park. It looks at the Green Loop in downtown, adding really a linear park downtown, which is the Green Loop, pop-up festivals, more recreation downtown. It really looks at growing the downtown area in parks, where most of our growth is expected to be in the next few years. Growing our urban forest, you're just talking to Tony about taking care of our trees. This is a public awareness campaign to help support the stewardship of those new trees being planted. It also looks at increasing our tree canopy and helping our air quality. Investing in our street projects, so street trees, planting appropriate trees in publicly owned spaces. And it also looks at an urban wood reutilization program so that we can take the trees that have had their useful life and make them into usable wood products. Welcome to the Green is about our golf courses and introducing alternative recreation to activities in our golf courses. It looks at incorporating more environmental benefits in our golf courses, looking at rewilding and naturalizing some areas, and expanding our golf course involvement in environmental protection and incorporating constructed stormwater wetlands and in our unplayable areas. Put the Environment First is about cultivating more biological diversity in our parks and natural lands. So it looks at pollinator habitats, includes volunteer and educational opportunities for the public, hosts citywide education and engagement programs, and increases landscape resiliency to climate change. So reimagineNatureSLC.com is where you can take the survey if you haven't already. And if you have taken the survey or not, we would love it if you shared this webpage with with your friends and on your social media. That would be awesome. We'd appreciate it. And the survey closes on May 9th at midnight. So now I just have to figure out how to stop sharing. There we go.
Hey, Tony, do you mind answering some of the questions in the chat about the trees?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank
no,
you.
Yeah, we'll see how many we can get to here. And
Yeah, good
and, you know,
luck.
and I will just add that if for some reason I don't get to your question, please just call our office and you know, we'll be happy to get a good answer for you. Okay.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Great.
Thanks, Kristen, for coming. Do you mind putting a link to the survey in the chat?
I will do that.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay. Hey, Brandon, we're going to unmute Suzanne Stensis for a second.
Hi, I'm on the Salt Lake Transportation Advisory Committee representing Sugar House area. There's been a lot of discussion about the trenches that Google has put on many of the side streets. I'm not familiar with your areas, but many areas they have not been capped off sufficiently. And the city really has to sign off on these, but they seem to be understaffed. So they would like to know who is having trenches that can then either erode the road or trap your bicycle tire or become potholes along the way. And then they will go out and check on those areas and see where Google is being delinquent. It seems that there's not a big timeline in terms of they have to cap it within, I think, 6 months, which seems excessive. And so there's been a lot of discussion about that. If people in Sugar House are finding trenches in their areas, trenches that are not totally capped off, which will then cause erosion of our streets, which are already in bad repair. They have not appointed a point person to handle this, but I would be happy to take those and shuffle them. Give me the street intersections and cross streets where you're having concern. Another discussion was about the eventual 21st South rebuild or redesign or reconstruction. And again comes the issue of the section between 23rd East and down toward 13th East, turning that into a safer 3 lanes instead of 4, so that you have a dedicated turn lane and not a lane that all of a sudden stops and people buzz around. And the neighborhood opposed that originally, but there's a lot of statistics, studies from other cities that show that 3 lanes instead of 4, with the center lane being a turn lane, is truly much safer, and that it doesn't slow down the traffic. And so we need to consider supporting the city in making that a possibility, or at least have a good discussion about it. It would also allow putting in bike lanes on 21st South. And there's no good east-west through bikeway at this point. And then finally, the issue is more really planning, but 21st and 21st, that's 21st East and 21st South. There is just recently put up today a plan for a large apartment building. And what concerns me about this, and it ties in with the urban forestry we've just been hearing about, is these new buildings are not having any decent setback for park strip or a wider sidewalk or any kind of land between the structure and the sidewalk where trees could be put in. And 21st South is a very, in the northern or in the eastern part, is a very wide, ugly street with very few trees in many areas. And I don't know what planning does. Judy maybe can speak to this, that we need to keep the greening. We know the importance of trees. We have the city's support for trees, but we need to have plans only approved if there is sufficient room to plant trees and have green space. And so I'm concerned that when we redo these streets, that the trees are just as important as the sidewalks, as the bike lanes, as the curb and gutter, as the crosswalks. So that's it. I'm representing you on the Salt Lake City's Transportation Advisory Board. I would be happy to have you. I'm also on the Sugar House transportation meeting with Levi. So you can send emails to me and I'll pass them on to the city or your concerns. And I'll put my email in the chat. I know we're short on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Maggie?
Hey, everybody. The Sugar House mural project has been kicking off. We had to switch gears really quickly. Originally, we applied for the grant for the McClellan Street project for street murals. So first off, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who's rallied around this project and helped switch gears so quickly. We're working very closely with the Chamber, one of our partners, the Living Museum of Sugar House, the Sugar House Art Walk, and of course, the Salt Lake Arts Councils are one of our sponsors, as well as Altaterra Real Estate. And we need more sponsors. If anyone knows of anyone who would be interested in sponsoring this project, I'm going to put the link in the chat for our sponsorship information. I also want to say thank you to anyone who's donated. It really means a lot. Our goal is to increase the arts vibrancy in Sugar House and our economic vitality by making Sugar House continue to be a place that people want to visit and spend their money and visit our local businesses. We're working with local businesses right now to secure walls. We're hoping to do 4 new murals. And there will be a community celebration once all the murals are up on August 13th in conjunction with the Sugar House Art Walk. It's going to be super fun. There's going to be live music. The Culture Collective is going to join us and do a love letters activity, love letters for Sugar House and some other cool playful activities. I don't know if you're all aware of Culture Collective, but I can put their information in the link as well. So we have a Arts and Culture Committee meeting on Monday at 7 p.m. If anyone's interested in joining and helping out, volunteering, please join us. Just give me just send me an email or put your email or send me a message in the chat and I'll get back to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Oh, one more thing. The call for artists, for mural artists went out on Monday. I'm going to include that in the chat as well. Please share if you know any artists, arts organizations, anyone you think that would like to apply. There is the link. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, let's go with Councilwoman Amy Fowler.
Okay, sorry, I was waiting to get unmuted. Hey, everyone. It is good to see all of you. Wow. First, I took some notes. First, I wanted to quickly start with the ribbon cutting of the new library. It is absolutely beautiful. It was such a wonderful event. And I really feel that it kind of grounded some of our Sugar House community again. It was the first place that I came and met with all of you who were on the Sugar House Community Council when I first decided to run for city council. And I think it was, so that was in 2017. So yeah, in 2018 is when the flood happened. So then everything sort of changed in our lives. And then it kept changing, right? And then 2020 happened and everything keeps changing. And I think reopening the Sprague Library and having such a wonderful community event just sort of grounded Sugar House again. Like, yes, everything has changed in 4 years, but we're all still Sugar House. And I love coming to our community councils and listening to everybody and what's going on. And to be fair, and I think I've said this before, there literally are times that I find out things that I didn't know before. I feel sometimes that the people think that as a city councilwoman, I have this like extra special knowledge. But then I realize that I'm getting information sometimes for the first time. And on no one's fault. Our city reaches out more to the community and to the community councils than sometimes to us as like elected officials. And I say that because, as all of you know, I live on 900 East, and I'm very curious to what will happen over the next several months of reconstruction. So I will be there with all of you who live on 900 East or who travel down 900 East. That I am 100%, there's already a no parking sign in front of my house. It will be interesting to see how we are affected, and I will be right there standing by everyone who can't travel down 900 East, and we'll do our best to make sure that we communicate the best routes to go and how we can make sure that people can travel through Sugar House safely. A couple of other things I just wanted to mention before I get to like city council stuff. And I'm sorry, Landon, I'll only be a little minute. But first off, Maggie, I don't know what a linden tree is, but I do now want to make tea out of it. So if someone can post a picture of a linden tree or just send it to me, text it to me. And then our golf courses, I want to thank public utilities and public services and our parks division. As many of you know, I have fought very hard over 3 years to show how beneficial golf courses can be within our neighborhoods. And I was met with a lot of resistance. And in 2020, when there was no other recreation, the mayor herself said, golf courses can be a wonderful place to recreate. And we've really seen that. And I truly appreciate that we're looking at how we can preserve this open space and utilize it in the best ways. It is a great walking area. It's great when we actually have snow. It's great cross-country areas. It's a wonderful golf. I golf at Forest Dell almost every week. It's a wonderful place, and it's a really wonderful place to have community as well. And so I want us to recognize how fortunate we are to have this within our little Sugar House community. So just a couple of like kudos to everybody. And the work that the city is doing, and that they were really like, not just the city, but the community council. Now for city council, we are in the midst of budget season. So the mayor proposed her budget yesterday, and we will be spending the next month and a half going through that budget and trying in a month and a half to dissect and make sure that we are doing the best possible thing for the city with our taxpayer dollars. I think the mayor's proposal has been a wonderful proposal. I haven't had a chance to delve in 100%, but I think that she really has tried to encapsulate what our city wants and what our city needs and what the goals of our city are. And so I look forward to this budget, and I don't say that lightly. I have never looked forward to a budget in 3 years, but I actually do look forward to this. And I think that there are some really great suggestions, and then there are things that we're probably going to tweak. That's our job, is to make sure that we are looking at the budget in a way that also benefits all of the residents, and we're listening to what the residents say. That's the wonderful thing about this checks and balances system. So for the next, like I said, month and a half, we will be delving into the budget. I encourage all of you to look at it. If there are things that are interesting to you, or if there are things that you have concerns about, please reach out to us, reach out to city council members. We do listen. I hope you know that. We try our best to make sure that we show you that we're listening. So that, and all of you have known me by now, that's kind of an overview. If there are questions, I know, Landon, I'm not going to take them in the chat. I will try, but I try to pay attention more to what you guys are saying. But please contact me with questions. I know that it has been a little bit slow sometimes when I respond back, but I will put my phone number in the chat. I respond very quickly to texts and phone calls. Email sort of overwhelms because I get 1,003 every day from like people that matter to, you know, the advertisements. And so I'll put my phone number in. Please feel free to text me, contact me with any questions. I want to hear your thoughts about our budget and where we're going. And I think unless there's like something real quick, Landon, that you want me to address, then I'll leave it at that. Other than Rich, Nicole says hi. She came in and saw you on the on the screen, so she said hi.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. If you could answer some questions in the chat, that'd be great. All right, Tim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be with you this spring evening. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information with you. Councilmember Fowler talked about the mayor's announcement of her fiscal year 2021-2022 budget at last night's city council meeting. And I posted the presentation. It's about 20-25 minutes. I posted it in the link if you'd like to click on that and watch it. It's about 8 minutes into the city council meeting. But in addition to providing the essential services that we're known for, like clean drinking water and repairing roads, waste and recycling collection, parks and public lands, emergency services, the mayor had outlined in her platform for 4 guiding principles for this budget in prioritizing growth equitably and benefiting all, making our city more environmentally resilient and sustainable, and bolstering our communities with inclusive and equitable opportunities, and supporting city employees, which is important as well. Some of the other exciting budget highlights that the mayor had prioritized came about from the Commission on Racial Equity in Policing recommendations and the research and the work that they've been doing. She's proposed $450,000 to hire 6 additional social workers with the Community Connection Center. They do a lot of outreach work in the city and ensuring that there's a social worker on staff to respond to emergency calls. We've learned this year is so critical. 200,000 for additional equity and inclusion and diversity training for police officers, and 20,000 for peer court program in offering alternative ways for youth to be accountable for their actions outside of the criminal justice system. And then just some other highlights. The mayor's also proposed 11 million for affordable housing. We know the housing is just off the charts right now. This includes 4.7 million in RDA projects. That's kind of exciting. And you heard Kristen Riker talk about the proposed community reinvestment tax bond. So this is out of retired debt that the city will no longer owe, but the potential for $50 million in new capital projects that have been waiting around for a long time that the city residents have targeted and prioritized. I know some of it included for the water park located on 1700 South and 1200 West. That was about, I believe it was around $10 million. And to shore up other historic buildings like at Warm Springs Park and Marmalade District and the Fisher Mansion in Poplar Grove and in Allen Park, like Kristen Riker had identified. We have an opportunity to quiet the train horns, which is kind of exciting that can be used for infrastructure needs and creating those quiet zones. And I'm just trying to think if some of the other priorities were, and again, Kristen talked about the Foothill Trail System Plan and improvements to Jordan River. So all of those things were proposed in the budget. It's quite an exciting time, like Council Member Fowler had identified. I'm just trying to think, see if there's any other questions. You might have heard the state legislation 294 in-game prohibited the mayor now from enforcing any emergency orders specifically related to COVID-19. So that including the mask mandate. While Salt Lake City still in moderate transmission, the mayor is requiring that all city facilities as a city, so city buildings, would continue our residents to wear masks and encourage people to still wear masks while we're still at risk of this public health issue. Oh, and don't forget the micro grant, the mayor's micro grant that I prioritized this year, focusing on our response from COVID-19. It allows the community councils to communicate with the public and grow participation, maybe like even the Sugar House Art Walk, but from your community. And as long as it focuses on equality and boosting neighborhood pride and connectivity, you can get between $50 and $1,500, and that application is due by the end of this week. What else? Oh, and you might have heard that the mayor had appointed Council Member Andrew Johnston as the city's new director of homelessness and policy outreach. We're really excited to have him in our office. He comes with such great experience and a great awareness and level of expertise that will help really complement the mayor's community connection project. So we're excited to have him. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover, Landon.
Well done, Tim. I don't know how you type and talk at the same time.
There is a stage 1 advisory that the mayor had kicked off for the water shortage, or the drought, sorry, excuse me. In partnering with public utilities, they're put together a 7-gallon water challenge that if we can save 7 gallons per day per household, we can save up to 157 million gallons of water this year. And during a drought, it's vitally important that we have that water to sustain long-term needs. So I'll put that link in the chat as well. And if you can participate with that, I'm sure it will benefit all of us.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
And I'm happy to answer any questions if I can in the chat.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. We're just going to quickly do a couple updates on our committees. Sally, you want to start with Post?
Sure. And because I can't type in the chat and talk at the same time, I've already put one of them in the chat. I wanted to tell you actually 3 things. We had very successful Earth Day projects this year. There were 3 of them. One of them involved Tree Utah. There were 30 new trees planted in Fairmont Park. Most of them are flowering trees, which will really help with the pollinators. So if you haven't walked through Fairmont Park recently, I think those trees are still in bloom and they're beautiful trees. And so we were lucky to get that. They did that in conjunction with Salt Lake Community College and one other work group, and I can't think right now. Oh, Traeger Girls, I think. So it was those 2 organizations helped Tree Utah get those trees planted. And then we also had a work day in Fairmont Park and did a lot of trimming, trimmed all the rose bushes in the rose garden area, cleaned up litter, did some weeding, and that was a very successful day. Also arranged by Sarah Woolsey and her Friends of Fairmont Park, which is an amazing group. I'm going to do a shout out to them. If you have the desire to do volunteer work in a park, contact Sarah Woolsey, and she's the head of the Friends of Fairmont Park. And then lastly, she asked me to make an announcement, and now let's see if I can get it pulled up here. They are going to be having, the Friends of Fairmont Park are having a meeting on May 19th. Hang on, I gotta give you the time. Sorry, I lost it. Or Sarah will have to come on. Let me see here. Oh, here it is. Okay, sorry. It's on May 19th from 6 to 7. They're going to be meeting, or we're going to be meeting with Lee Bullwinkle, Luke Allen, and Amy Nilsson from the Salt Lake City Parks District to hear about plans for the summer for 2021 for Fairmont Park. I know a lot of people, and maybe a lot of people in this group, are really aware of Sugar House Park, and it has a great reputation. But if you haven't walked through Fairmont Park in the last 2 years, you just wouldn't believe it. It's a gorgeous regional park, and they've done a lot of improvements in there. And so you really should go and take a look. And while you're over there, pull a weed or 2 would be nice.
Thank you. Lori, you want to talk about the art walk?
Yes, hello. You know what, this is going to be Sarah Woolsey night because Sarah and her husband always come to the Sugar House Art Walk. And I cannot tell you how much we as artists appreciate the people who come over and over and support us. So thanks, Sarah. And yes, Fairmont Park is extraordinary, and it just blossoms and gets better every year. So that's not about the art walk. But anyway, I just had to do that shout out. So the next art walk is May 14th. And we actually have a couple of new venues participating, 8 Line Real Estate. I don't know if any of you know that the owner is actually an artist also. And Smith Crown Vacuums, they've jumped off and on, but they have a nice little area in their hall that is a great little gallery. So we're going to try and do as much outside as we can. A lot of the places still are requiring masks. And I'm really happy that Sugar House Coffee is going to join us again. They have not, they're being extra safe during COVID. So Emily, thanks for joining us. And I know it's a week after Mother's Day, but there's Father's Day coming up. So there's lots of terrific art gifts and some crafts, and look forward to some live music soon too at our art walks. So we have a Facebook page and Instagram, and the hours are 5 to 8. So thanks so much for supporting us.
Thank you. All right, guys, I think we're done. Support the local businesses. I think Emily from Sugar House Coffee's on here, so please support. And we'll see you next month. Thanks for coming tonight. All the people who are new, thank you, and see you in a month. Thanks.
Thank you, Landon. Good meeting.